From the Major Label Debut Podcast Network, this is your MLD News. I'm Graham Wright, and joining me, as always, to break down all the latest happenings in and around the music business, it's Major Label Debut producer John Paul Bullock. John Paul, how's it going, buddy?
It's going great, Graham. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. I'm feeling good. I'm happy to be here in Toronto. The weather's cooled down a little bit. That's the news from the weather desk. And it's, I'm able to wear a light corduroy overshirt. And that means it feels like my season, brother.
Wow. Well, it is blazing hot and smoggy/smoky here in beautiful Los Angeles, California. I wish that I had the ability to wear a long sleeve shirt, but I am t-shirt and shorts all day long today. And this ghost cap that I got from a trip to spooky Salem, Massachusetts, is protecting my bald pate.
I would like that exact cap, to be honest with you. It's very cool.
I can make that happen for you.
All right. This is good to know. Look, we don't just break news here. We do deals live on air. And that's what the people sign up for. Today's news hook, today's current event that we briefly touch on before digressing into our own series of thoughts, opinions, and general rantitudes, is the British musician Ellie Goulding is in the news because she's suing her former management company for having what, depending on your perspective, are either nefarious or totally industry standard normal relationships with the universally beloved behemoth Live Nation. John Paul, do you want to lay out the news story in slightly more detail to begin with?
Well, it seems like what she's accusing these folks of is that they did not reveal their relationship with Live Nation and then promptly negotiated a deal for her with Live Nation. And that is what they call in the business a conflict of interest. Allegedly. An alleged conflict of interest. I want to be clear here that we know none of the people involved in this story. And who knows how it's going to go. I hope it goes well.
This case is before the courts.
I hope they all win, is what I'm saying.
That's the MLD position on any controversy or legal difficulty is that we hope everyone comes out a winner.
Most sports for me, I'll tell you.
Absolutely. I'm just rooting for ties. That's why we love soccer. It seems to me that this is a classic case of something that MLD producer Josh Hook would frequently and correctly bemoan throughout our years as professional musicians, which is the sort of thing that's just sort of explained to you as standard practice. It's just the way things are done. Basically, it seems like her management company was partially and then wholly owned by Live Nation. And there was a clause in the manager's contract with their corporate overlords that prevented them from doing anything to reduce their clients' involvement with the mother corporation, which, seems like the standard issue of everyone covering their own ass upwards and shit flowing downwards. And it's just such a perfect example of so much of the underhanded yet totally legitimized shit that goes on in the music industry, and particularly perhaps between managers and artists, because that relationship is simultaneously hugely important and intimate and also kind of opaque and mutable, and it can be and is many things that differ from case to case to case. And your manager, in theory, is the person that talks to everyone else and has their finger in all the different pies so that you, the artist, don't have to, and you can concentrate on making art rather than doing business. But it obviously presents a number of opportunities for gray area behavior, shall we say.
Well, in TV and film, the role of the manager has traditionally been one of artistic guide and kind of career coach and advisor. And then the role of the agent has usually been the person or persons, the team who gets you work. And I believe that the way to the letter of the law, that management is not supposed to negotiate deals for TV writers, film writers, that's all supposed to be done by an attorney through a job that's come from an agent, and that your manager is supposed to tell you this, don't do this, or do it this way, or they're looking at your body of work and with their understanding of the marketplace, guiding you through that complex relationship. So it's really interesting to me when I read how different sometimes, or experience through friends like you, like how in a lot of ways that relationship with the manager is muddy and strange, where you always had a phenomenal booking agent who got y'all gigs, but for most of my career, my jobs have come through my own networking and not being sort of presented to me as a slate of possibilities or a touring route, or however y'all would get it from the good people at your booking agent's firm, and then your manager would tell you yes or no, or help kind of gin up that work, or bring in asymmetrical relationships, right? Like get you the very famous and very beautiful Tokyo Police Club Converse shoe that I one day will just wear casually on this podcast and stick my feet up on the table so that everyone can see the shoe. No, feet reveal just yet, but at some point in time, depending on if we launch a Patreon, then maybe you can get some of them sweet digits. But for now, it's going to be a foot clad in I want to say it was snake skin. Was it the purple snake skin Converse that you guys designed?
A dark navy blue etched leather. It has sort of like a star chart, like a galaxy, in silver. What do you call it? Embossed into the blue leather. I had no part in designing the Tokyo Police Club Converse. Other members of the band,
you didn't.
I think Dave and Josh really ran that show, and I've always felt and still feel that it is a beautiful shoe. I cannot wear Chuck Taylors.
Wow? Why? Because of the arch of your foot?
The arch, width, and general sort of shabby lemon quality of my feet prevents me from wearing anything but the most prescription footwear.
I think those are the exact feet that do really well on Wiki Feet, though. I think that you can get like a higher Canadian dollar value for that foot reveal that we're promising.
Well, I could use that to fund my orthotics.
Yeah, it's true.
Sure, it's you hear a lot about Canadian healthcare, but I tell you, the orthotics are not paid for. Mark Carney
not covered.
Not send me a check for that. That's out of pocket.
You have to have separate foot insurance. Is that what it is? That's private foot insurance.
Exactly. Yeah, and I have different insurers for each foot. They have different needs and problems and different benefits, and they make me different money on WikiFeet. So I try to keep church and state separate. Now,
I've seen your feet and they are beautiful. I just want everyone listening to know that Graham has beautiful feet. And if you get a chance, maybe just come up and ask him in the street if you can see his feet.
I'll pull down my sock for you. Although summer is coming to an end, so better hurry up before I'm strapped into my bean boots and no one can ever get at them again.
How do you feel about the Teva/Tiva or the Birkenstock? Are you a sandals man? That I don't.
Yeah, I recently got a pair of Birkenstocks, and I love to wear them. They are great. If anyone out there has wide feet, high arches, Morton's and aroma, and
a bunion,
a insertive Achilles tendonitis, I can really recommend Birkenstocks. Full line of footwear. I also have a pair of Birkenstock boots, which, while not terribly fashionable, are really supportive and are an important part of my wardrobe. No free ads though. Maybe Birkenstock or Crocs.
Yes,
Crocs also make really supportive footwear. I was recently speaking to an elderly couple in the elevator at my building, and both I and the man, who I would say conservatively was 85 years old, we have to wear Crocs.
Wow. How many pairs of Crocs do you own?
I currently own 2 pairs of Crocs, but I'm feeling like there might be room soon for a third.
Wow. Can we have a Crocs reveal at some point in time in the future?
Absolutely. Yes, that's something else we can save for the Patreon. I just got distracted because a spider was hanging from my webcam. That's how often I'm here at my studio these days. My webcam has spiders in it, so that's also something to celebrate.
Wait,
management in the music industry.
Tell me about your
little
relationship.
Different. It's one of those many things between us as musician/writer translation happens, where the names of the jobs and the jobs they do are almost the same, but not quite the same, and so we're never quite sure which things are where we're talking about the same thing. But I had one manager. Tokyo Police Club had one manager. He was critically important, A, to this podcast because he introduced us.
That's true.
And B, to our career. He was sort of, in our case, he was like our first real advocate and first real guy who was like on the payroll in a general comprehensive way, out there hustling record deals and lawyers and telling us like, hey, this deal that you're about to sign looks bad. Don't sign that. Like you got having someone. There's that John Mulaney bit where he talks about how getting married, someone finally stands up for him. He doesn't just roll over and take it. And it felt a bit like that. And it, our manager was also our friend, and we were his sort of first client, and we were all young and entering the music industry together and figuring it out together. And being a band of people from the outside of it really was, it was fun. It was also necessary, I think, for our sanity and our ability to navigate those waters in the early days. Having someone else on the team who we trusted, who seemed smart and plugged in and with it, who would confirm when our suspicions that something was bullshit were right, because there's such a chorus of people saying, this is how things are done. This is how things are done. This is how things are done, that you just kind of assume you have to believe them, especially when you're 18 years old. And having someone who was 25 years old to say, you don't have to believe them, they're lying to you for money, was really, really valuable. And that to me is sort of, when I think of a manager, a band manager, it's someone who's like, they're on your side, but they speak the language of the industry. They're sort of a guide and a bodyguard, a spiritual bodyguard throughout. I suspect that if you're Ellie Goulding, your relationship with your management company is probably a little different, and it's probably a lot more abstracted in terms of how often you speak to your manager. On their personal email, let alone face to face. But I feel really lucky that our manager wasn't crooked and wasn't taking advantage of us. And he could have. It's a role where you have a lot of power and a lot of leeway, and without the trust of your artist, it doesn't work. And so you have the trust of your artist, and then you can go and do whatever you want with it, because the whole point of a manager is that I'm not on those calls and I'm not in those meetings, and he tells me what happened and what it means and what I should do about it. And so if you're not getting the truth, or if you're not getting the whole truth, or if you feel like there is a conflict of interest, it blows the whole relationship 6 ways to Sunday. And, it's kind of darkly funny to imagine, if only her management hadn't been affiliated with Live Nation, imagine all the lucrative contracts she would have signed with the other company? Question mark, question mark, question mark. They have a pretty strong monopoly. So I don't know how much those managers really ultimately did to put their fingers on the scale. They didn't really have to do much, but it's still, it's yet another example of how the tendrils of these enormous, ubiquitous super corporations are just in everything and are everywhere, and you can never escape them.
Totally. And, my manager is a person I talk to, managers. I talk to at least one of them nearly every day of my life, and have close personal friendships, and spend a lot of time just out. And we're friends before we started working together, as client and manager, or artist and manager. I knew him personally, the day-to-day person I speak to every day. And I cherish that relationship. And also I think in my business, it's just, there is not that one monopoly that everyone who works at my management company what did at one point in time work for one of these monstrous large companies, but maintained relationships and then went out on their own and started to build their own book and business. And also, my manager and managers and the larger company have a ton of clients. Like it would be extraordinarily unusual, I think, from my vantage point, for a music manager to have as many clients as my manager does and to be actively working. And also, the standard terms in TV and film is a lawyer takes 5%, an agent takes 20%, an agent takes 10%, and a manager takes 10%. So you're talking about like 25% of your pre-tax income goes to your team generally. But in the case of a music manager, sometimes it's 20% or more, right? Isn't they're like,
yeah, it seems to go from like 16 to 20% in my experience with people I know and myself. The article I read about this Ellie Goulding case said that they were taking 20%. That to me seems high. I don't remember exactly what we paid our agent or our manager rather. And I guess probably I shouldn't say it on the podcast anyway, but it was less than 20%. Agent is the same though. Agents are 10%.
Yeah. It's like, but your manager is like the fifth Beatle, right? Like it's a guy who's, or lady who is, or person who is in there with in the trench with you. And that is not so much the role of the manager in writing, that person is definitely in the trench with me from time to time, but they're in a lot of different trenches with a lot of different people. And it's not, so much like they're in the back of the bus riding with you for part of the tour just to make sure you're okay.
And another thing about band managers, and I don't know if it's the same or if this is more of an agent thing in your line of work, but because of their changeable and not totally defined role as the interface with the whole music industry writ large, they're easy to blame. Mm-hmm. And it's really, really, really common, and indeed something that I myself have done, for bands who are sort of in the second act of their career where the early novelty has worn off and maybe the launch to superstardom hasn't gone perfectly, to fire their manager and hire either a hotshot new manager or someone who's totally different. And sometimes that's because, managers commit malpractice or just stop being responsive or, they change as much as you do. But other times it's just because, maybe the market forces are no longer trending in your direction and there's a convenient avatar of the market forces who is on your email every day. And you can just say, oh, it must be your fault. And you fire them and you get a new one. And that's, I doesn't sound like that's what's happening here with Ellie Goulding, but if you're thinking of getting into the management game, be aware that there's like a cliff a lot of managers fall off as soon as, once the royalty checks stop getting bigger and maybe start getting smaller, you're usually first on the chopping block in terms of bands wanting to make a change. It's like teams firing their coach when they go on a losing streak. Got to fire somebody.
Well, especially for young television film writers, there's so much pressure from, I guess, outside of the industry, or you've been told you need to get an agent, you need to get a manager. And my experience in general with, representation has been that they add logs to a fire that you've already built, and that they are there to amplify the song you're already singing, and that it's and that's the best case scenario, is that you get in there and someone sees what you're doing, likes what you're doing, believes in you, supports you, and gets out there. And it seems like from the relationships that I've seen my friends who are musicians have, that is so much more of a the person's in there with you, sitting in the studio, listening to playback, saying actually, talking to the producer, walking around the venue, listening to sound check, and making sure that the merch person has enough, medium t-shirts and all that, like at any given time, is more like boots on the ground. And that, I remember early in my career when I was trying to figure out how to be a writer, I had a meeting at a record label as an A&R person. I told the person I was interviewing with that he said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I'd like to be a road manager so I can really learn the business." And he looked at me like I was insane. Like he was like, "Why would you want to do that?" And I realized, oh, I don't want to work at this place with these people. Like, the whole reason I'm getting into this is because I want to be around other artists who are making stuff and figure out my own way through that as an artist myself. And, and yeah, it's a very interesting relationship. And it's so different, I feel like, from people to people. I'm assuming that Ellie feels deep betrayal. It seems like this is the kind of thing where she realized that the sort of, deck was stacked against her from the beginning, and that she could have had better deals. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not that familiar with her work. I like the music of hers I've heard, but I've never seen her perform live, and I don't really know what's going on currently with her. So it may be a situation like what you were describing, which is, she's tightening up her finances and looking around and being like, wait a second, why did these things go this way? And it's because of this hidden hand that the entire time was working against me. But yeah, it's gonna be fascinating to see how this thing plays out, because I can't think of any other high profile person who's come out in this way recently, at least. This feels also kind of like an old timey bit of music business chicanery and trickery it's weird too that they didn't sell this to her in this way. Like, yeah, we're partially owned by Live Nation, so we can get you in on all the good tours, and we can, we have a preferential, they return our calls basically, that seems like in a lot of cases, if you're a certain type of artist, that might be a good thing.
Yeah, it seems like just as easily a selling point as it is a nefarious part, but it might just be a simple case of one of the rare instances. Usually in the music industry, the underhanded, sketchy seeming stuff is codified in the very fabric of the industry and is like written into your contract in black and white. And so you might not like it, but it's just how business is done. And maybe this is a rare instance of they forgot to codify it, and so there's an opportunity for the artist to get a bit of their own back. But the thing about one of the perils of being a manager, and you can be the youngest, hungriest, most artist-friendly advocate in the world, but by virtue of the fact that you're there to be a buffer between your artist and the industry, you're spending a lot of time swimming in the water with the sharks. And if you're half good at your job, they welcome you as one of their own because you're also a suit. You have a foot in both worlds, and it's really easy to tip into being in the suit world because for a million reasons. There's more money there, there's more influence there. It's, they're very good at slapping you on the back and making you feel welcome and sort of a part of the gang. And add to that the fact that when you're a band, it's your whole life to be in your band. But if you're a manager, you might have multiple bands, or you could have multiple bands, and you don't know what your band's going to do. They might go completely rogue and start making absurd decisions and cost you a bunch of money. And so it also behooves you to form these relationships outside the band. And as that happens, your sympathies and your perspective shifts. And all of a sudden, you're not one of the outsiders anymore. You're one of the insiders. And it's practically inevitable if you have any success at all. And it's also must be really hard and weird to navigate that and try and keep, whatever soul you took in with you in the first place. And so, well, as a musician, I am congenitally inclined to be suspicious of all industry suits. I also have a lot of sympathy for managers specifically because it's a line of work that I think almost everyone in it gets into with really good, pure intentions. And very few people come out of it unscathed in their soul.
Yeah, I mean, it's in TV and films. There are a lot of managers that are writers, are producers of other kinds. Like I know my managers like produce movies and do that kind of, particularly in film. I think it's more common to have that. But they are artists themselves too, and are kind of an artist and an advocate for artists, or an advocate for artists, and then also an artist. It's I've run across far fewer creeps in that that part, like specifically with managers. And it's, yeah, it's, I feel genuine sorrow for this person that she's having to go through this. And it feels, yeah, she must just have that kind of icky feeling every time she has to discuss it. Like, well, that, you know, and that thing too, of like the perspective of looking back on over all these interactions and thinking, what was this, the entire time was this person cheating on me, you know?
Yeah, it is.
Or
It's
these
a
people
bit like
cheating.
that. It's an intimate relationship. And again, maybe not as intimate when it comes to Ellie Goulding, but still, she was paying them 20%. She obviously thought they were working for her.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's just, you know, as they say, trust but verify. If you're an artist out there working with a manager, trust but verify. And if you're a manager out there working with an artist, don't forget where you came from, baby.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to manage this podcast, please get in touch. We are actively looking for new direction as we move towards this kind of foot fetish and music industry business kind of. It's all business, baby. It's all business.
It's all business, baby, and the PayPal is open.
It is.
We're
foot
skipping
business.
Patreon. We're going straight to the PayPal. Just send us money. Just send us any amount of money whenever you want, as often as possible.
What about OnlyFans? Have you thought about OnlyFans?
Yeah, you know, I just think that I don't want to limit my nude feet to my fans.
Okay. Yeah.
They're for everyone who's
share them
willing
with the
to
world.
pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand. I get it. Great. Okay. Good to know.
Have we left any stone unturned on our conversation about management / nude feet?
I'm not sure we have. I love managers. I love my managers. I'm friends with many a manager. Hello to all managers out there listening to this. We believe that you are good and not like these alleged people who alleged to do alleging of stealing or crook. I don't know what they did. Malfeasance. Yes, that is exactly right. Malfeasance.
Malfeasance. Hey, okay. Well, now we have an episode title. Hey, before we go, can I shout out a song?
Yes, please.
I just was really jamming in my studio before we got on air to this new tune by a new group. The great Canadian musician, songwriter, and fellow Newmarket, Ontario comer from her, Hannah Georges, has started a new duo called So Faint, and they just dropped their first song that's called Fully Slow.
Wow.
And it's just like a really good indie rock pop catchy song with a really I really like the lyric, and I find it to be just a perfect example of the kind of songwriting I like, which it's about a feeling that's so relatable and universal, but the way that they talk about it just seems like, oh, I've never heard someone say it quite in those terms before. And it sounds, I'm like unlocking a new level of understanding of this old familiar emotion through listening to this song and dancing around my apartment. Justin Paroff of Broken Social Scene, who Hannah sings for now as well, he plays drums on it, and the drums are really cool. It sounds great. And there's a record coming, or an EP at least. I didn't plan on doing this, so I didn't research it. And they're doing a little tour in Canada in the fall. And if you like good music, check it out. So Faint, Fully Slow. That's my recommendation.
Wow. I'm going to listen to it immediately after this podcast. Thank you for recommending it to me. I've met Hannah before, and
that's right. We hung out with Hannah all together when we were in LA making TPC.
Yeah, very cool person, extraordinarily talented. I like all their other music, and this sounds like an interesting new advancement. So thank you for the recommendation.
Yeah, and it was inspiring to me as well because it feels really vital and exciting. And you know, Hannah, like me, has been in the game for a minute, and to hear anyone who's not, you know, like an 18-year-old guitar prodigy on TikTok making great, exciting music that's getting attention makes me feel a little empowered. So I appreciate that as well. I had to make it about myself. Ultimately, let's think about the gram of it all.
Well, we'll link the song in the bio of wherever you're consuming this. That's good. That's a good news episode. I feel like we've covered everything there is to ever know about management. And if you are looking for a manager, you can just listen to this and never have to learn anything else about it.
Yeah. And maybe, I don't know, if people listen to these and are wondering about things that we haven't mentioned, or it gets them asking questions, we talk about various components of the industry a lot on this show. And maybe if people have curiosity about it and send in questions, we'll do like an industry mailbag someday where we can just answer questions via our experience about how it all works and what it all feels like. So if you have any thoughts or song recommendations or foot pick context requests like mud or like dead grass or, you know, whatever it is you want to see me walk through in slow motion, send it all wherever Major Label Debut is accepting DMs.
Please do that. Let's do that next episode. Let's do a mailbag. I'll post about it online and get everybody on board, and I'm sure we'll get a bunch of great questions. So thank you, Graham, for potting with me today.
John Paul, the pleasure is all mine. It's a wonderful way to split up my day here. And thanks so much. That's your MLD news, everybody. The show is produced as usual by John Paul Bullock, as well as
feet reveal to come.
Feet reveal to come, and come to feet reveal is what I'll be doing. Josh Hook also produced the show, and you're welcome,
hey,
Josh.
Sorry.
Josh sits through these and with a fine-tooth comb perfects them so much more than we deserve. And after 30 minutes of listening to us yammer, he's now listening to me make double entendres about John Paul's feet. So, Josh, as usual, you carry a weight that we only add to, and we really appreciate it.
I appreciate you doing that, Josh. Thank you.
Our theme music is by Greg Alsop.
Also,
probably has beautiful feet. A drummer. Yes. He probably has strong, powerful, coordinated feet.
This is right.
And, we're on the internet. We're same place as WikiFeet, just a different URL. Type it in the same box. Open a new tab. You don't even have to close the tab. You might want to go back to it.
Private
like, subscribe, follow, message, send your questions for our mail bag. That's MALE bag. And that's it. We'll be back sooner or later with more news, tales, and foot-related digressions from the intersection of art and commerce.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.